If you're a senior golfer losing distance from the tee and you believe it's because of old age, you're completely wrong. I'm going to show you what the best players in the world do that any senior golfer can copy to get their distance back on their drives, and how to push the boundaries effortlessly to hit the driver longer. All the best players that we watch on the big screen are able to produce these huge, massively wide arcs, powerful, effortless golf swings that are able to give them so much distance. We're talking 300 yards or more carry most often. And the reason why they're able to do this without really putting much effort into the golf ball, yes, you could say it's because they're so strong, they're so mobile, they're so young, but the main one is that they are able to understand the science of the golf swing and how it should work in their favor, how to get this club, this driver working for them, as opposed to you working hard for the golf club. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, we see time and time again, senior golfers in particular, but a lot of golfers out there, they'll make the way up to the very top of the golf swings, almost in this rigid, tensed fashion here. And as they make the way down, they'll always start with this steeper motion into the golf ball, where we see the club shaft itself go over this trail shoulder here. That causes us then to have to jump out the way on this upward motion and get this early extension into the golf ball to try and make some sort of decent contact. Well, straight away there, I'm not able to generate that rotation effortlessly, and that's not going to give me any extra speed. I'm using a lot of my arms, a lot of my shoulders to take care of the golf swing, as opposed to adding this rotation freely. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is the way we actually set up to the golf ball. Now, I've seen this before, senior golfers setting up with a really wide stance, which is great. We want a wide stance to be able to have a great stable base so we don't fall over with the driver, but when it gets too wide, it limits how much we can rotate either side. It almost stops our upper body from turning into the top of the backswing and then turning right the way through to finish. You'll almost see senior golfers stay on their back foot like this to finish their swings. So the first simple thing I want you to do is to take your feet ever so slightly narrower so that they're only just wider than shoulder width apart. The next point, and this is the first main key really, is to do with where your toes are facing. So we'll see it where the toes face almost more towards the golf ball and this face on camera angle here. Now what this does is it puts a lot of pressure on the knee joint. So I can't turn into the backswing after this point here. I have to stop because it puts too much pressure on my trail knee. What's going to happen from this point? I'm going to have to fold my lead arm. I'm going to have to lift this club upwards to finish off that backswing, as opposed to allowing this free motion to take place and get this great rotation into the top of the swing. Now, what did I change there for that to happen? I did two things. The first one was flaring my feet out. So stand up, go into your back garden. You can even try this indoors if you wanted to, and just flare your toes outwards so that if you were to look at a range mat, they are pointing on 45-degree angles in both of those corners, the two front corners that you would see. Now, straight away, when you take the club back, you should be able to feel that your trail knee is able to rotate, continue turning as you make your way up to the top, and the same on the way through. You can continue turning and allow yourself to almost finish that golf swing. The second thing I did to help me reach the top of the golf swing was my hips. I unlocked my hips. Senior golfers won't unlock the hips. They'll keep their hips very static and have the upper body, the shoulders, the arms use this movement from here. Even with the feet flared out, they can't really get past this point. So we'll see that steeper motion again into the golf ball for the downswing because we haven't got the room to turn. So we're going to open up those hips. We're going to unlock those hips now. So for this second part, I want you to imagine you've got someone holding onto your trail hip here, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, and they're going to push your hip away from the golf ball so that as you begin this movement here with the feet now flared out, you're really feeling like your right butt cheek, your trail butt cheek is moving towards the wall, or the bay when you practice this behind you is moving away from the golf ball. And straight away, just combining those two movements just allows me to make that bigger turn, that bigger swing, all the way up to the top naturally. And just letting the club do what it wants, it allows the club to work on this 45-degree angle at setup and match that as we make our way into the backswing. And you'll feel that as you start to combine these two elements, you'll be able to get to almost this point here where the lead arm reaches just past the point of parallel to the ground. How can you go that extra bit further? Well, for this third bit, I'm going to tell you to do something that will shock you, and that is, I want you to move your head. If you watched any tour player, when they make those massive wide arcs, when they're ready to hit those high draws, the really long shots that you see players like Rory McIlroy make, when they start that golf swing, you'll notice that as they make the way, moving from the starting point up to the top of the swing, that their heads don't actually face the golf ball all the time. They start to tilt as they get this rotation, as they unlock this hip in the backswing. If you were to keep your head directly down towards the golf ball, you can only take the club so far, even if you were to open up your feet and flare them out and also unlock the trail hip in the backswing. As the chin touches the shoulder, we don't necessarily want this. We want to allow yourself to almost imagine that you're going to look away from the golf ball. I've still got my eyes on the golf ball here, but I am looking almost towards this side on camera angle here. I'm tilting my head almost to the point where my ear is facing now the golf ball. It's definitely facing the ground. So combining the feet flared out, unlocking this trail hip into the backswing, and allowing your head just to tilt, you can see there how much more turn I can get as I make my way into the top of that backswing. Fully loaded into that backswing now to be able to bring the club back down on the same plane. The reason why you're struggling to bring the club down shallow the golf club with driver is because if we don't get that turn and create the room in the backswing, we've got no choice but to throw the club out. So this way, doing these three things, flaring the feet out, unlocking this trail hip in the backswing, and tilting the head ear facing the golf ball, that gives me the room, that will give you the room to bring the club back down on a shallower plane. And then from there, it makes the downswing much easier as we can allow ourselves to rotate, continue rotating on the way through. We're not going to get stuck from that freed up backswing at the top of the swing. That one was a pretty good drive, a little bit of a draw, carrying 287 yards. So combining those three things, you will find after around 10-20 shots that you'll be able to get that effortless swing back in your golf game, and you will feel the difference. I can guarantee that. But before we move into the bonus tip and how you can, rather than just maintain the distance you've got at the moment, how can you push the boundaries effortlessly, I'd recommend checking out my course management guide when you take these tips and drills out on the golf course, as this course management guide helps you plot your way around the golf course to make things easier to shoot lower scores. So recommend checking that out. The link to that I'll leave in the description below. So the bonus tip, it's going to sound even weirder, but I want you to use your arms in the golf swing, the downswing in particular. What we see from this steeper motion, forgetting those three tips before, we'll see this steeper motion here, and that's all from the arms staying very stiff. So if you were to imagine that there's a wall out in front of you here, and you were told to swing this club almost like a baseball bat, making your way back and forth as fast as you can, but you had to stop before making contact with that wall, so stop just before it, what have you got to apply to stop the club head from hitting it? You've got to apply tension, and tension slows your golf swing down. So when you start to get a little bit rigid, get a little bit tense, just to make sure you hit those fairways out on the golf course, it's only going to make the golf shots worse. Because you're not going to get any distance. The effortless movement that you've worked so hard on isn't going to be there, so you're not going to see the benefits. The simple drill for this is just taking the driver away for now. And it is a bit of a waste of golf balls if you are going to try this at a driving range, and I get that, but you will definitely feel the difference. I've got a golf ball here in my trail hand, and whether you're right-handed or left-handed, I want you to use your trail hand in the golf swing to throw this ball as far as you can. Now, straight away, if you're to throw a ball as far as you can, you're not going to throw it like this here, where this arm stays very tense, very extended, very strong like this here, because that's only going to slow things down. You're going to set up, start to feel this action here take place, and catapult that golf ball as far as you can. You're going to get this whip effect, you're going to relax this arm, and the movement all comes from the natural parts of the rotation of the body. Just simply throwing a golf ball as far as you can just gives you that whip effect, gives you the feeling of how you should be moving the arms during that downswing. Not by keeping them stiff, but by allowing this whip effect and catapult effect on the way through. You can practice that only a couple of times and start to feel the difference in the way you swing the golf club. Taking the driver now and practicing that a couple of swings before we hit the next golf shot. Making your way up to the top of the swing, feet flat out, getting that rotation, tilting of the head, and then catapulting the club on the way through. That looked like there I swung it a lot quicker, but that wasn't adding any extra effort whatsoever. I'm not out of breath doing that at all. So just another practice swing doing that before we hit the shot, making our way up to the top of the swing and whipping the club on the way through. Let's hit one final shot and see if we can get this golf ball carrying well over 287 yards. And there you have it, a carry of 317 yards. So comparing those, that is a total distance gain of 30 extra yards. Just from me there, using that motion on the way through, that whip effect, using the arms, this trail arm in particular, to catapult the club on the way through. At first, when you start getting used to that effect, it will feel like the strike will start to be a bit inconsistent just because you're not used to adding that extra speed into the swing. But after around 10 to 20 shots, you will get the strike back and see that distance gain and see longer drives effortlessly using the driver. So if you've come this far, I'd highly recommend clicking that subscribe button, as there's lots more content coming your way every single week. Do drop a comment to let me know how you get on from using these tips. And this video has been brought to you by GX Golf, who provide high quality golf gloves at a fraction of the price in comparison to their competitors out on the market. I'll leave the links to their gloves and all my coaching material in the description below. Thanks for watching, and if you're looking for more content to help you improve your driver shots, I'd recommend checking out this video over here. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.